Mabuhay! Musta kayo lahat? So today I found a brand new video from the 1940s, and this is, as far as I can see, Taga Times magazine. So this is about the Philippines, about the war, and you can see a lot of pictures from the Philippines and Manila. I even saw there was a glimpse of the old Jones Bridge, and you can really see how modern the society was in the Philippines way back in the 1940s. So guys, let's have a look, and please, as always, leave me a comment below and tell me what do you think about this video, and if you want me to react to any other kind of videos, tell me which one. Alright, so let's have a look at this video from Times Magazine.
In the war-wrecked Orient of 1940, the islands of the Philippine Group, second only to the Dutch East Indies in natural wealth and resources, are assuming a new strategic and economic importance.
Oh, look at this. That's the Jones Bridge. And you see the old dolphin sculptures? Wow, we don't have those today, sayang, no? Because it looks really amazing. Wow, I wish that was on it. There's also another little piece missing there, the decoration in the center of the bridge. But I think the lampposts look much better today than they used to. Right. Wow. That was the first part of it already. We see Jones Bridge. Alright, let's go, guys.
At Manila, busy capital of the Philippine Islands, the Japanese see the thriving center of a foreign trade that would help to bolster Japan's floundering war economy.
Okay, so this is the trading floor where they sell and buy commodities. I like they're all dressed nicely in white or khaki probably. I mean, we can't really see it because of the color, but they look very professional to me.
Some relief to the Japanese businessman, hard hit by taxes at home and boycotts abroad. Already the Philippines do an annual domestic business of $500 million.
Whoa.
In addition to a foreign trade of $250 million.
But look at that, the shoe factory, huh? Well, Philippines used to be known as one of the most important places where they made shoes before, right? Of course, Marikina, everybody knows a lot of shoes were made in Marikina, but it was really a place, I remember that when I was a kid, you know, we used to hear about Marikina shoes back in Denmark, huh? That was incredible. Unfortunately, I don't think there's too many left, but there are a few, like Otto and other places. I think I'm gonna go and visit the shoe museum very soon. Unfortunately, last time I went there, it was still closed. I like how professional it looks. Wow.
While Japan's exports have been steadily falling and its trade balance for years has been unfavorable, the Philippine Islands have consistently maintained a profitable surplus of exports over imports.
American President lines.
Invested in the sugar industry, basis of Philippine economy, are many millions of dollars.
Oops.
Along a troublesome...
Wow, look at the trains, huh? So this is a sugar plantation and a sugar mill, and they used to have these little trains going to the sugar, the fields, no? Where they had the sugar cane. I wonder if they still have those little trains. I mean, I've seen the old ones, but I don't know if they're still running or if they're really just using trucks nowadays. And I also noticed in this video, we're talking about the Japanese. So it is definitely from the wartime, like 1940s. Question is whether it was just before the attack or whether it was already after that this movie was made. I'm not really sure, but we might see it during the course of the video. Yeah, and it looks so modern, huh?
Competitor of US and Cuban sugar interests. In Japanese hands, Philippine sugar could be dumped in European markets for quick barter or for much needed foreign exchange.
So it seems like it's not yet been attacked by the Japanese.
More important would be access to Philippine raw materials.
Right.
Vast mineral stores.
Correct.
In Japan, and without which its military machine is helpless.
Right.
Recently discovered in the islands is the world's largest deposit of chromite.
Oh, chromite.
All essential to modern industry and modern war.
Right. So you see here, this is a well-known fact around the world that the Philippines has a lot of natural resources. It's a very, very rich country, actually. It's probably just, the problem is just really that the resources and the money is maybe not equally distributed. But it's really a very wealthy country when it comes to natural resources. And that is one of the reasons why Japan wanted to get the Philippines during the Second World War, together, of course, with Indonesia, or the Dutch Indies, as they used to call them at that time.
To a nation all but bankrupt,
Wow, look
from the
at that.
ever-increasing demands of its militarists, the
Ang
gold
galing,
mines
ah.
of the Philippines are nearly
Wow.
as attractive as the Dutch oil fields of Borneo and Sumatra.
Really? That's a little train again, huh?
Largely developed by American capital,
Okay.
under the shrewd management of a one-time U.S. soldier, John W. Hauserman,
Hausermann,
Philippine
okay.
mines are now producing gold at the rate of 1 million fine ounces each year.
Wow, that's a
And
lot.
many geologists believe that the islands may someday become the greatest gold-producing area in the world.
Wow, grabe. Grabe. So really, Philippines has got so much gold here. So I don't know if we today are the largest producer of gold. I'm not really sure about that, but I know we have a lot of mines in the provinces. Really a lot of very, very big mines. Not just for gold, but for all kinds of natural resources. I think the only thing we don't really have here are diamonds as far as I remember. But please leave me a comment. Tell me what things but please leave me a comment below and tell me what things are being produced here. Is it nickel? Is it gold? I'm pretty sure you guys would know some of the things that come out of the earth here.
Already one important island industry, the growing and processing of Manila hemp,
Oh, Manila hemp.
almost entirely under Japanese control.
Really? So meaning to say at that time, the Japanese owned most of the hemp producing factories. I've actually heard this before. So that was probably before the war, because after the Second World War, this was definitely not allowed anymore. So it really sounds to me like this was just before, very shortly before the war. Hemp, Manila hemp, yeah, basically the only place it was produced was here in the Philippines.
And within the past few years, by intensive cultivation, Japanese immigrant farmers have increased production of the one cash crop, which has long been a virtual Philippine monopoly.
Right.
Japan sees in the mountain forests of the Philippines a limitless supply of hardwood timber, a commodity she lacks and must have.
Okay, so that was also another reason why the Japanese wanted to take over the Philippines. It was to get to the wood, not the timber, because there were so many forests here. We got mahogany and so much other wood. And of course, they needed it, and Japan is a small country, right? So they don't really have much forest left there, unlike here in the Philippines, of course. I like how everything looks so modern. I mean, way back then, huh? Almost every old video I see, this is what I see. It was modern, it was very developed in the early days. So I'm just wondering what really happened, after the Second World War. What happened? It must have been after the 50s. But you guys, I'm pretty sure you guys know much more about this than me. Leave me some comments again. Tell me, when did this modernization stop? When did it go downhill again? Save the brush for someone. Yeah, of course, they want to be free. Of course, diba? Oh, Jones Bridge again. Jones Bridge again. Look at that. Obviously, a little bit of a close-up here. You see the dolphin statues on the two sides. So that's on both sides of the bridge, right? And I like here that you have an unobstructed view of the bridge, because right now there's so many trees. If you walk up and down on that staircase, you can hardly see anything. All right. The lamp posts, they're very simple as far as I can see. Of course, today they look much more elegant, right? They look almost like in that Disney cartoon, right? Beautiful, beautiful, absolutely amazing. I do miss the dolphin sculptures and a little bit more of the designs that I see here on the site. I wish they would put that up. Although I do like the golden arches, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's not McDonald's, right? But it does look like golden arches below the bridge, right? With the LED lights on, huh? So that one looks really impressive.
Nearly 40 years since Admiral George Dewey steamed into Manila Bay and established U.S. rule, the 16 million citizens of the Philippines...
16 million. So imagine that, huh? There's only 16 million Filipinos way back in the 1940s. Today we are more than 110 million people. Grabe, what an explosion of population, huh?
Have a government of their own, patterned after the constitutional democracy
Right.
of the United States. Number one citizen, strong man, and first
Manuel
president of
Quezon.
the Philippine Commonwealth, slick and able 61-year-old Manuel
61 old,
Quezon,
huh?
has campaigned long and hard on a platform of independence for his people.
Right. Supreme Court.
Boss of island politics, Manuel Quezon, in answer to charges of dictatorship,
Really?
to a Supreme Court which has consistently upheld the constitutional
Ah.
rights of the Philippine people.
Right.
Today, Filipinos enjoy greater political freedom,
They look so nice, huh?
larger measure of
Oh.
prosperity and security than any other
Here we are in
American
an
people.
ordinary home, huh?
After 300 years of Spanish rule, 40 years of benevolent American rule, the island's population
Ang dami
made up
tao.
of 3 separate racial groups with no common culture or tradition are for the first time in their history
Grabe.
living in a peaceful and law-abiding society.
Wow, peaceful and law-abiding society under the Americans. Well, I do think there was also a lot of problems at that time, of course. It's just that it was maybe not so widely known.
Most of them still make
Kalabaw, huh?
almost without effort from the endless fertility of the land.
Oh yeah, that's
and the
true.
tropical abundance of their island country.
It's nice. What a different life it was during those days, huh? No cell phones, no internet, huh? Dami ista,
During
huh?
4 decades of American rule, more money has been spent on public health and education than on any other function of government. Gradually being eliminated is a once almost universal illiteracy.
Yeah, I think everybody, basically almost everybody here can read and write. And, well, of course, everybody speaks English, to a certain degree at least naman. Almost fluently everybody. Kahit ano, that was one of the things that impressed me when I first came to the Philippines. Kahit yung street children, you know, or the beggars, the homeless people were even speaking English. Pretty impressive, huh? Ayan. Okay, so, well, it's really important that we got a good education system. Of course, the Americans developed that a lot. But I do think, and I've heard before, that actually during the Spanish time, there was a lot of schools put up in the provinces as well. I will look into that a little bit more though.
Every village and town today there is at least a primary school.
Okay.
And much of the teaching is modeled on U.S. methods of progressive education.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
To send a son or daughter to the University of the Philippines,
UP,
Filipinos
huh?
will make tremendous sacrifices. For the consuming ambition of every family is to have at least one boy or girl graduate into the ranks of some respected
Whoa, look at the
business or
art.
profession.
Look at that art class, huh? Wow, that's amazing. You hardly see things like this nowadays. But I'm guessing that they're still there, those classes. It's just that we don't really hear much about it. I mean, do we still have these kind of classes in UP? How about in other universities? It must be, because there are a lot of famous artists from the Philippines, you know. Leave me a comment again, guys. Tell me some more about the education at UP and other universities here. How good do you think it is compared to way back in the 1940s? Wow, ang ganda. Ang galing ah.
And no people
Ano
in the
to?
world are more conscious of the fact
Engineering.
that the prime requisite of good citizenship and good government is an intelligent and enlightened population.
Correct. Hospitalization. It's like a float, huh? I wonder what that is for.
Despite the generosity and tolerance of U.S. administration,
Philippine Independence proclaimed here on June 12, 1898. Alright, so that's in Cavite, right?
still a hero of the Filipinos is 71-year-old Emilio
Aguinaldo.
leader of the bloody insurrection against American occupation,
Correct.
which for 2 years up to 1901 kept
Okay.
the islands in a constant state of war.
Right.
Champions of unconditional independence, General Aguinaldo and his followers have long resented the presence of U.S. armed forces as
Yes.
a permanent encroachment upon the territorial integrity of their land, and have never ceased to demand the withdrawal of what they still regard as a symbol of Western imperialism.
Yeah, of course. Oh, Fort Santiago, huh? Of course, Aguinaldo was fighting to liberate the country, right? He did not expect, and nobody actually expected, that the US would come and take over the Philippines after the Spanish, huh? I love how this... Wait, it doesn't look like that anymore. Is that really Fort Santiago? It does look like it. Siguro, that's Fort Santiago before the Second World War, before the bombings, huh? So ganda, no?
For 25 years, loudest voice and self-appointed leader of the Philippine Independence movement has been Manuel Luis Quezon.
Okay.
6 years ago, when Congress voted full and unconditional independence for the Philippines to take effect in
Truman.
1946, Manuel Quezon journeyed to Washington for an event which
Yan.
was his greatest personal triumph. For his services in the fight for freedom, a grateful people elected him the first president of their new Commonwealth, soon to become a sovereign state. Not until the inauguration of Manuel Quezon did Filipinos fully realize that 1946 would mean not only the withdrawal of U.S. High Commissioners and Governors General,
Right.
but that from the date of their final sovereignty, they must face a grave new responsibility: the preservation and protection of the independence they had won.
Of course.
In order to establish some measure of national defense,
Where
the
is
Filipinos
this?
have adopted compulsory military training and an armament program which calls for the expenditure of $8 million a year for the next 6 years.
$8 million a year. Wow. That was a lot of money during those times.
1946, they hope to have an army of 10,000 regulars and
Really?
300,000 reserves.
Wow, that's a
All
lot.
of them equipped with modern weapons from U.S. arsenals, gun factories, and ammunition depots.
Look at the big guns they have there.
Officers and men are being trained in U.S. Army strategy and tactics.
Is that in Baguio? I'm guessing that's up in Baguio, huh? At the military academy.
Number one soldier of the Philippines is its 60-year-old field marshal and military advisor, General Douglas
And MacArthur. Yes.
one-time U.S. Chief of Staff. Great and good friend of Manuel Quezon, Field Marshal MacArthur is reputedly paid $50,000 a year to
Wow.
give the Philippines the benefit of his military experience.
Well, that's definitely worth it.
Pride of Douglas MacArthur and of President Quezon is the model Philippine Military Academy.
Yes.
400 cadets, the best of the island's youth, must live
Wow.
for 4 years like West Point.
It looks so professional.
Second lieutenants in the new and growing Philippine Army.
Well, the Philippine Military Academy was really based upon the West Point in the US, huh? The way they trained the soldiers and everything is basically the same, huh? So that was definitely a very good way to do it, I think. Wow, looks so nice, huh?
Here the young
Philippine Military
learns
Academy.
that his new nation is essentially defenseless against any attack enforced by a naval power. That the island's best defense is their long-range coast artillery,
Okay.
able to harass an invader, but
Right.
unable to prevent an
Ayun,
invasion.
maybe Corregidor? Could look like it, huh? Whoa.
But until the date set for their complete independence, the Philippines feel safe, for the U.S. is morally bound to protect and defend them.
Of course, the American military was still here. I mean, Philippines hadn't developed the army yet, so it was really up to the Americans, and they were the one who were taking charge and fighting the Japanese when they invaded, right?
Since September 1939, the U.S. Army Air Corps has more than doubled the number of its planes and personnel.
Oh,
in the
really?
Philippines.
Wow.
Today, U.S. Far East defenses include the latest types of military aircraft.
What kind of airplane is
fighters,
that?
reconnaissance planes, and fast bombers.
Huh. I think
Based at Cavite, home port
That's in
of many
Cavite, huh?
of the U.S. Asiatic fleet,
right.
is a newly augmented force of 45 light naval vessels.
Well, Cavite has always been a place for naval vessels, right? Even during the Spanish times and before that, as far as I understand, Navy vessels were really built in Cavite.
Though by the terms of Philippine independence, the United States is under no obligation to defend the islands after 1946,
Oh, really?
the U.S. Navy has reserved the right to maintain permanently the operating bases built and
Right.
developed during the 47 years of U.S. rule.
Today, only 6 years after US approval, I was advised of a question. Okay.
For 2 decades,
Oh, look at that. Osaka Bazaar. Well, what I understand is that before the Second World War happened, a lot of variety stores, or, well, not size stores, but you know, general merchandise stores were having Japanese names, just like Osaka Bazaar, Tokyo Bazaar, and so on. That was very common before.
a constant source of concern to Americans and Filipinos alike has been
Oh,
the
see,
steady and
Tokyo
persistent
Bazaar.
economic penetration of the islands by their
Wow,
hard-working
looks
and
nice.
ambitious neighbors. The the Japanese.
Well, the Japanese were hard
By their
workers.
government, Japanese immigrants, despite restrictions imposed upon foreigners, have managed to gain a firm foothold in Philippine business and commerce.
Okay, how's that?
Now control 35% of all retail trade.
Huh? The Japanese controlled 35% of all retail trade in the Philippines? Before the war? How's that even possible? Okay, I gotta look into this. If anybody knows something about that, tell me please, okay? I wanna know how that happened and if it's really true, because 35% seems like a lot to me.
Today in Far Eastern waters, Japanese merchant ships have replaced British and Scandinavian cargo carriers,
Okay.
called home to the war. Though by law foreigners may acquire no real property in the
Right.
Philippines, whole Japanese colonies have sprung up throughout the island.
How come?
On land bought or leased through
Ah.
money transactions.
Maybe least.
In the province of Davao, Japanese settlers hold more than half.
Look at the
of
houses.
land.
Huh? Japanese settlers have more than half of the agricultural land? Whoa. Mindanao is really the breadbasket, as we call it, of the Philippines, right? There's so much food produced in Mindanao for the rest of the Philippines. But I do like the buildings there. They look really, really nice. I just don't understand how so much could be in the hands of the Japanese at that time. Because that really shouldn't be possible, since there was an American government in charge. Seems kind of weird how that happened.
And throughout the entire Commonwealth, they outnumber U.S. colonials 5-1.
Really?
Today in Manila, there are many who believe that a Japanese fifth column, an advance guard for occupation of the Philippines, is already at work under the leadership of Benigno Ramos, chief
Under Benigno Ramos. Okay. Ganap Party demands immediate independence.
of the Ganap Party, whose main appeal is its crusade for immediate and unconditional severance of all U.S. ties, political
Okay.
and economic.
Really?
Since its leader's return in 1938 from 3 years of self-imposed exile in Japan, the Ganap Party has consistently heckled both Philippine and American officials.
Talaga, so they'd been in exile in Japan and came back and started the Ganap Party, as far as I understand then, and wanted to have complete independence immediately, huh? So I'm just wondering out loud here, was this like a prelude to the Japanese invading, or what happened here? I think I really need to look into a few more old videos here, huh? Oh, Malacanang.
In 1940, President Quezon, alarmed by mounting Japanese ambitions in the South Pacific, and in the face of Tokyo's violent protests, makes a bold move to limit Japanese immigration to a nominal quota of 500 a year.
500?
Overnight in the Philippines rises a new political faction, the Civic League for Re-Examination, which many believe has Quezon's silent blessing.
Oh, really? Okay.
By the thousands, the League is enlisting Filipinos in its campaign to exchange a precarious independence for the security of Dominion status under the U.S. flag.
Okay, I get it.
So long as warrior nation Japan is on the march.
Right. So they want to somehow be still dependent on America, kind of independent, but at the same time kind of still dependent on the US, like maybe a Dominion or in Commonwealth or something, like some other countries are with England, right? Or were for many years. Well, that could also have been an idea, but then again, why did they not just make the Philippines one of the United States, right? Could have been 51 states instead of 50. Oh, diba?
In Washington, President Quezon's emissary, the Philippine resident commissioner, Miguel Elizalde, lobbyist for independence, today is quietly seeking U.S. assurance that the Philippines will not be entirely cast adrift.
Okay.
On Capitol Hill, the Senate Committee on Insular Affairs, chairman by Maryland's Millard E. Tidings, hears that it may soon be asked to reconsider the whole question of Philippine independence.
Oh?
We're committed to a policy of complete independence for the Philippines.
All right.
They've asked for it. They must decide now.
Okay.
They can't have their cake and eat it too.
Okay, so kind of strange. They want to give the independence to the Philippines, but they don't want it to be in a union or something like that. Okay.
And back in Manila, Manuel Quezon faces the gravest dilemma of his career. For he, above all others, has championed the cause of a free and independent Philippines. Whether his people are destined to achieve the independence they so long have cherished, Manuel Quezon dares not predict. For in the war world of 1940, no man can foretell what momentous changes history will have recorded for the world of 1946.
That's true.
Time marches on.
Now that video was really informative, I think. It told me quite a few things that I hadn't even thought about before, like what exactly the relationship with the Philippines and the US were during the war, right before the war and right after the war, as well as I did not know that there was that many Japanese in the Philippines at that time. I remember though that I heard there was a lot, but not this many. I had no idea that 35% of the retail business was controlled by Japanese, and as much as 50% of the agricultural land in Mindanao. That seems like really a lot to me, I love to see these old videos. It shows how progressive and how modern the Philippines were way back in the 40s and the 50s as well, even the 30s. And I really hope that we will be this modern again very soon, and I think we are, because there's a lot of progress happening right now, lots of modernization again. It's sayang naman that we lost so many years due to whatever happened. I don't know. You guys know this better than me, but let's just hope for a much better future for the Philippines, and that we'll come back to be one of these modern countries, because basically it was the second wealthiest country after the Second World War in Asia, diba? So we were way ahead of Singapore and many other countries. So let's get back there again, guys. I know, may pag-asa na naman. So guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this old video from the Philippines, and everybody please stay home and stay safe until we get vaccinated. Don't forget, please do get your vaccination wherever you live. Alright, so I'll see you again very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to click that subscribe button and of course the bell button so you'll be notified when we have new videos for you.